Hello everyone and welcome to round 4 of the 2019 GRENKE Chess Classic. We already seen 3 games played by Vincent Keymer, a 14-year-old prodigy from Germany, and in round 1 he faced Magnus Carlsen, World Chess Champion, then he faced Viswanathan Anand and then Fabiano Caruana. So definitely tough 3 rounds, and now he faces Arkadij Naiditsch. He has the black pieces, and it's it's really an impressive game, one that really anyone could have played, and it could have turned out either way. But without further ado, let's just check out the game. We don't have any photos. It was a pretty quick game, so the GRENKE Chess Classic video team didn't have the time to upload them for me to use, but we will be showing more games from this round, so fear not, we will have some nice footage and some nice photos. So without further ado, we have e4 by Arkadij Naiditsch. Vincent replies with c5, so the Sicilian defense is on the board, and now knight to c3. Naiditsch goes for the closed system. We have a6, and now knight g to e2. We have d6 by Vincent, and now a4, preventing expansion by b5 on the queen side. Knight to f6 by Vincent, g3, preparing to fianchetto the light square bishop. We have knight to c6, Vincent keeps on developing pieces, bishop to g2, and here already on move 6 we have a new game on our hands. e6 was played, g6 is a known move. There is one game where g6 was played, but after e6 we have now a completely new game. So okay, Naiditsch castles, and we have bishop to e7. Vincent is also ready to castle. We have f4 and Vincent castles, and d3 now. So you can see that white really controls a lot of space in the center, but also black doesn't fall behind. And white, the pawn structure in front of the white king is a bit loosened up, so if things don't go well, this should be advantage for black. But okay, rook to b8, a nice developing move by the rook, preparing b5, getting the rook out of this nasty diagonal, and the a8 square. h3, taking away the g4 square from the black knight, preparing king to g2, king to h2, and also preparing g4 as Naiditsch is going for a very aggressive opening line. Knight to d7, and then now comes g4. So the knight is already on d7, g5 will not come with tempo. We have h6, and now comes knight to g3. So you can see that white really is putting a lot in this attack, and Naiditsch really had to decide which opening to use against Vincent, because he saw that Vincent is really a deadly opponent, and you can't just play anything. He knows, Vincent knows his opening theory, unlike Capablanca, and you have to really try hard to get any edge even out of the opening. Bishop to h4 by Vincent, and now knight c to e2, just remaneuvering, guarding the knight on g3, and b5. Everything is taken care of on the king side, so now Vincent has time to grab space on the queen side. We have king to h2, and now, as a white did not react to this pawn push, b4. We have bishop to e3, just a nice developing move, and a5. Now Vincent locks the queen side here. Queen to d2, with some ideas of maybe in the future pushing f5 and sacrificing on h6, but just bishop to a6. Again, a nice square for the light square bishop, as you're not going to be developing it over here. So b3, not allowing any more pawn push, controlling the c4 square, and here queen to e7, just developing the queen, connecting rooks, and rook to g1. Here Naiditsch is again transferring all of his pieces over to the king side. The rook 8 to f1 is coming, and then he is considering pushing some of his pawns depending on what black plays. Rook b to c8 by Vincent, and now comes rook 8 to f1 as planned. We have g6, preventing f5, and now comes e5. And here you have an option. You can either capture or push the d5 pawn. Whatever you do, Naiditsch's next move is completely the same. So Vincent decided to push d5, and here we have f5. So it's a very interesting moment, a very aggressive moment in the game. You are Vincent Keymer, a 2700 Grandmaster. Arkadij Naiditsch is coming for you with everything he has. All of his pieces are very aggressively placed. So feel free to pause the video here and, just soak in the position and try to figure out how you would go about this position with the black pieces. I'll give you a couple of seconds as usual. For those of you who were able to do it, congratulations, you are an excellent defender. This is one of those positions where you really have to take it easy and realize that White's attack isn't all that scary as it seems, but it's that's easier said than done, of course. Now after the game, it's easy to say things like that, but when you're faced with a move like f5, you know, you're really get nervous, you start wasting time, and it's really you have to train yourself well to play well in positions like these. So here, Vincent played knight captures on e5, but there was a better idea, just g5. And here, it's a very, very aggressive line. f6, pushing the queen back, queen to d8, and now bishop captures on d5. This is the line you had to see. It's a standard idea, of course. If pawn captures, knight comes to f5, now you're going to capture on h6. It's just a really tough position to play with black. So, of course, you will not capture the bishop. The point was, after this bishop captures on d5, you have to go knight captures on e5. And now the bishop just looks silly on d5. You have to play the bishop back to g2 or h1. And now after knight captures on f6, you've completely prevented white from attacking, and now you can start your counterattack. So this was the correct way to go about this. But Vincent did not find this g5 idea. He went knight c captures on e5. Maybe he thought of going g5 next, but of course Naiditsch will not allow that. He goes bishop captures on h6. First you have to react as your rook is under attack. We have rook f to e8, and now as the rook no longer occupies the f file, just f captures on g6. We have f captures on g6 and now g5. Just grabbing control of the f6 square. The knight will find a very nice outpost there, and also the bishop now is unable to retreat. So here, what you want to do is continue playing on the queen side, as the white still doesn't have any decisive threat. On the king side, you want to play c4, and after d captures, bishop captures on g3, first a nice in-between move, and after knight captures, d captures on c4. And here, white would still go for his attack, knight to e4, he would threaten knight to f6, and still it would be very hard to hold this, but it would be black's best bet. So after g5, Vincent didn't go for this. Vincent played knight to f7, but here it's just a very tough position for black. Naiditsch immediately found queen to f4. He went for the bishop here, and you can either decide to give it up by bishop captures on g3, or you can capture on h6. Vincent captured on h6. Now if you capture, the queen will once again guard the bishop, but Naiditsch is not interested in that. He plays queen captures on h4, and now it's again not easy to decide what to do. Vincent played knight to f7, but it is the best move. If you go for something like knight to f5, then you get the rook captures on f5. This is the problem. And after g captures, now you get knight captures on f5, and you're either gonna fall apart this way, or if you just capture, then you're gonna get bishop captures, and now any move by the king is losing. But the easiest way to lose would be king g7 and queen h6. This would be checkmate, as the bishop is controlling the light squares. The queen slices over this way, and this way, and of course this is checkmate. So after queen to h4, grabbing the bishop, Vincent went back knight to f7. And now a powerful move by Naiditsch. You could go for the slow knight to f4 attack, but Naiditsch is playing really a beautiful attacking game. Just knight to h5. He immediately wants to go to f6 to win the game, and you have to react to this. Now, there are a few ways you could do this. You could avoid the capture, play something like queen d6 with check. After king moves, just move the rook, rook f8, not allow your piece to be captured, but this would still be losing. Just check, and now you would have to capture, pawn captures. Now the threat, of course, is not that, as the knight is still covering the square, but you can just go knight to e5. After black moves, now comes knight to f4, piling up on the g6 pawn, and after, let's say, rook to c7, guarding the h7 square, you can go queen g5, and now there's no defense. Knight captures on g6 is coming, and black will again fall apart. So, after this knight to h5 move, Vincent decided to capture it. We have pawn captures here, and here, again, a very interesting position that really deserves maybe even a Morphy head, but I'll still think about it. Feel free to pause the video again and try to find how to precisely continue this attack with the white pieces. I'll again give you a couple of seconds. For those of you who were able to do it, congratulations, you are an excellent lifter of rooks. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, rook to f6. This is the idea, this is what Naiditsch played. If you just play something like queen captures here, it's very easy to defend. You go back, knight d6, now you're going to remaneuver the knight over to f5, and after white brings the knight into the game, now you just go knight f5. If queen g6 check, you just block and everything is well. Here, and I do believe after g captures that this deserves a Morphy head, so we're just going to do it. And there it is, Mr. Morphy is here, rook to f6. And here, how do you defend? Not going to be easy. So what do? The best thing, well, it's not the best, but it could prove to be the most resistant idea, is just against c4, play on the queen side. There is no decisive threat just yet on the king side. And after knight to f4, c captures on b3, now you can go queen captures on h5, and now knight to f8. Just bring everything into the defense, and now g6, where it's still a really crazy line. You would have to move the knight and then suffer slowly white's building up attack, or if you capture the rook, then you would immediately end the game with pawn captures. Here, and after queen captures, now you just use the rook on g1, bishop captures on d5, opening up a discovered check. You would have to give up your queen or something, captures, and then it would be an easy victory for white. So, after rook to f6, Vincent decided to capture it. We have knight captures, now comes pawn captures, attacking the queen. Queen goes back while delivering check, queen d6 check, and now knight to f4, just blocking check. And still your king occupies the g file. If the bishop moves, it will be very unpleasant. For example, if you try a slow move, just bishop f3 is sufficient. This comes with check, and after the king moves, the bishop captures here. Not a lot you can do here, just bishop captures is coming, rook g6 check, king will have to go back, and queen h8 checkmate. It's, well, whatever black plays will end in checkmate. So, after knight to f4, Vincent decided to move back, king to f8, now no discoveries are possible, but queen to g3. A very nice move, just lining up the queen and the rook to go to g8. And also, if knight to g6 check, then you can see that the queen is not defended on d6. This would also win the queen. So, Vincent goes rook e to d8. Now the queen is defended, but also the king now has an escape route, hopefully. Rook to e1. Now the rook no longer guards the e6 pawn, so now the e6 pawn becomes weak. The knight and rook are both attacking it. We have e5 by Vincent, and now finally knight to g6 check. And still a very tough position. If you go back, let's say king g8, then knight e7 check, whatever you do, king f8, queen g8 will be checkmate. Or if you go king to e8, which happened in the game, then comes knight captures on e5. A deadly idea. Again, if Vincent would capture, then rook e5 check, king d7, and now of course rook captures on d5. The bishop is controlling the d5 square, wins the queen and the game. And it's not even, yeah, you could claim that, okay, I have two rooks for the queen, but not really. After black makes a move, white just going to push f7, and the f7 pawn is such a nice bone in your throat, you're not going to be able to activate the rooks at all. You could go something like rook b8, hope to get rook b6 in, but it's not going to happen. Just queen g6, then queen e6, queen c6 becomes possible, and the rooks have no moves. So, after knight captures on e5, Vincent tried queen captures on f6. He got rid of this very annoying pawn. So now for the third time and the last time in this game, pause the video and try to find the quickest way to end this for Mr. Morphy head Naiditsch. I'll give you a couple of seconds. For those of you who were able to do it, congratulations. You are an excellent, discoverer or creator of nasty discoveries. Let's go with that. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, knight g4 is the best discovery. Now you're threatening to win the queen, just knight captures here. And if queen to e7, which happened in the game, not capturing the queen, but just knight to f6 check. The queen cannot capture as the queen is pinned. The knight controls d7, checks the king. You have to move the king back. And the game didn't continue. It was in this position on move 36 before reaching time control that Vincent Keymer resigned the game. Why did he resign? Well, it's mate in 1 after king to f8, just queen g8 checkmate. No way to avoid this, and yes, an excellent attacking game by Mr. Morphy head Arkadij Naiditsch. We can lose that now. So really a beautiful attacking game, a masterpiece attacking game, if you will. And it all comes down to this moment where this f5 move was played, where you really have to figure out how to go about this. Vincent didn't go about it precisely. He should have played g5 and everything is well. But again, like I said, that's much easier said than done when you're playing. When such a strong grandmaster is coming for you, plays f5. It's everything and anything can go wrong. And in this game, it did go wrong for young Vincent. So yeah, after this knight f6 check, what a wonderful ending position. Might even use this for a thumbnail, who knows. Vincent Keymer resigned the game, and an excellent victory for Arkadij Naiditsch. But as I said, we will be showing more games from this round, and I'm expecting some footage and some nice photos, so we're going to be showing the standings then as well. I would like to thank Simon Johansson, Lucas Williams, Tig Moriarty, Hugo Marquis, Valverde, and David Compton for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the GRENKE Chess Classic, and, well, whatever I come up, if I come up with more time, I will try to do something else as well. Thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.